Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the pregame lobby. I am your host, Trep, joined by my co host, Mr. Williz. We're going to try to make this episode nice, sweet, and simple for all of us involved. Mr. Will is recovering from a mysterious sickness. We don't know 100% what it is. He's on the come up, but we're still on the back end of it, so we're trying to get rid of it. So we're going to try to make this a nice, sweet, and simple episode. We have a little bit to talk about. Season 1 has officially launched in Black Ops 7 and Warzone, and it is week 1 of CDL matches for the 2025-2026 season. So, of course, we got to talk about those and give our predictions on who we think are going to win these matches. You can see added to the top of the screen, we got the CDL standings and me and Will's pick'ems records. You're going to see them every single time we have a brand new episode out. So you will see the updated records for every team and for me and Will as we go through the season picking these qualifying matches. And I think how we've done in the past is those matches are the only ones that count towards the record. I don't think the major matches count. So you'll see how we do in the qualifiers. Anyway, Will, let's get into it. Season 1 has officially launched in Black Ops 7. We've got some new guns coming in. We got some new maps coming in. This is the first big post-launch since the release of Black Ops 7. We're not going to really cover much Warzone stuff right now because not too much of Warzone stuff is changing. They're still on Verdansk. We know Haven's Hollow got added in. But once more, I guess, substantial stuff changes, especially the Blackout experience in the spring, we will probably cover. But right now, we're going to stick mostly to multiplayer and to the CDL. So, Will, we've got some new maps coming in. We've got Utopia. We've got, Odyssey. Standoffs coming back. And then Fate, I believe, is another map coming into the game. 4 brand new maps. I have heard down the grapevine, Will, that Utopia plays pretty well for competitive. Now, I don't know what modes exactly. I just know I've heard it plays well. I've heard Fate's not bad, but I've also heard Fate has, like, portals that take you to different parts of the map, which is a very interesting thing. I've heard it flows well even with the portals, but I have to get in there and play it myself to see what that's all about. But with the thoughts of Utopia, we haven't really seen it. We haven't played it. Obviously, at the time of us recording this, Season 1 just dropped, so we haven't gotten in there and looked at it, either of us. But, I mean, in your mind, if we can add a map per season launch to competitive, I feel like that's probably a win, right?
Yeah, I'd say so. I said it in the first episode. I am a fan of a bigger map pool. Kind of makes picking bands and stuff like that a little bit more important.
Yeah, and I also think that like it's one of those things where you kind of don't want to get like stale, especially like early in the season. You kind of want the map pool to be ever changing. I don't know if you saw Blackheart Hardpoint will not be in this weekend because of some kind of bug on the map, so they had to remove it from the map pool. So unfortunately, we won't get Blackheart, but that's nothing new. The whole Invitational Monster Tournament, we didn't get Blackheart at all anyway, so that's not too surprising. We had some changes to Overload, but I don't think those are going to be taking place during these matches. I think that'll be happening either after the break or after Major 1. I'm not sure how they're doing game rule sets, if they're doing it the same way as maps or who knows what. But I know now if you pick up the device, you have a pistol in your hands. You do not have your gun anymore. And a specific overtime scenario where if the losing team is down by 1 and they have the overload device, they get an extra 30 seconds of overtime time. So, but it's got to be that very specific scenario, I'm pretty sure. If it's not that scenario, then it just goes to 4v4 S&D mode, yada, yada, yada. I think it's a step in the right direction for overload. I do think some more tweaks need to be made to the mode, but would you concur that this is probably a positive change for the mode?
Yeah, especially the pistol swap. Like, I feel like there has to be some type of downside to having the EMP. Um, Otherwise we're just playing Blitz from Ghosts. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
Blitz is not the best game mode. If you think back to Uplink, which is sort of like a spiritual successor or predecessor, sorry, to this mode in a way. This game mode is not too dissimilar from Uplink. Um, you uplink with the ball was in your hands. You know what I'm saying? It took your gun away. You had to finesse. If you were going to get a kill, you had to kill him with the ball. So I do like the change. I think forcing the pistol will kind of make teams play it a little bit smarter. It was a lot of just kind of run it down from what we've seen so far in the preseason. So I'm excited to see how this changes things.
Yeah, and we're hoping that as we move on, it kind of gets smoothed out a little bit more, and we get to continue to see good progressive changes to the mode. I'd like to see Overload stay, as a permanent mode. You can see here we got Roland in the background talking about the maps that got added in, some of the locations on each map, and how these maps just look. I mean, from what I'm looking at, Will, still pretty vibrant compared to the original Black Ops 7 maps. They still look good. Of course, Standoff returning. Not sure if we will see Standoff in the competitive rotation, but I think that's kind of there as just as an option for something. Yeah. I've heard people comparing Utopia kind of like the amount of hype surrounding it, kind of like 6-star in a way, where when 6-star came in, people were like, "Oh yeah, this is immediately going to be a competitive map," and so that's kind of the talk I'm hearing when it comes to 6-star or to Utopia. But I kind of like how the other maps look. Of course, gotta actually play them to see how they do. I don't think Odysseus is going to be one. That's like a pretty small, kind of straightforward map, so I don't think Odysseus is going to be a part of that. But you never know. You never know what they decide to do. So with Season 1, Will, I think a big thing is that it's free. Well, I guess technically free content. You can choose to buy the Battle Pass if you want to. I don't know if you saw, but the Black Cell, the $30 Black Cell has you can change your HUD. It has a new HUD display, which I thought was pretty cool. I've seen some people on X/Twitter complaining about they're locking the cool stuff behind a paywall. For me, the whole reason I didn't buy the Black Cell because there was no cool stuff. Like there wasn't really anything that kind of like really set it apart from the Battle Pass, just the original Battle Pass. And so for me, when I saw the HUD, I was like, okay, I feel like you add more stuff like this, it kind of incentivizes me more to buy it. But as someone who doesn't play COD as much as I do, when you see something like that get put behind a Black Cell or a paywall, does it kind of like rub you the wrong way, kind of how it does some of the other people, or do you think kind of on the same lines as me?
I don't care. I'm a big believer of as long as anything behind a paywall is cosmetic, I don't care if it's behind a paywall.
Yeah.
Once you start putting like guns or equipment or perks or something like that behind a paywall, then I'll have an issue. But if it's purely cosmetic, and this goes for every video game that I've ever played, if it's a purely cosmetic thing behind a paywall, whoop-de-doo. I don't care. I'll either have it or I won't. It just depends on how cool it is.
Yeah. And so here we're just going to look at some of the Battle Pass little highlights that, COD lets you look at. We got some new weapons coming in. We got the Kogot 7 SMG and the Maddox returning from Black Ops 4. So interested to see how those play in the game. Of course, both guns will be free in the Battle Pass for anybody who doesn't buy it. You can just earn those guns for free. You can upgrade to the premium Black Cell. You can get a bunch of extra stuff, 1,100 COD points, all the good stuff that we've seen for many, many years now. A lot of cool operator skins. I kind of like how they're a lot more down to earth now with some of these operators that are coming out for Season 1. They're still really cool designs, but they're not, super out there and just, a little too much. But, who knows with COD, that could still very much happen. Now, one of the changes they made, Will, when it came to Season 1, was they talked about some playlist changes for multiplayer. And they just did some rearranging and, what went where. They had some new modes come in. And so this was just a little snippet that they put out in the patch notes regarding the changes to the playlists. And it reads, Season 1 introduces several new and returning playlists and game modes to multiplayer, including the return of Sticks and Stones for the first time since Cold War. Based on all the new content coming to multiplayer in Season 1, we're making some updates to our playlist structure and UI. So we're getting some UI updates, which is nice. You always love to see UI updates. But the playlist structure is what everyone's kind of ripping and raving about. I don't know if you've seen it, but I imagine you'll know what it says if you haven't. The first playlist tab will now be featured playlists, where we'll highlight various styles of experiences such as Season 1 Mosh Pit, featuring our Season 1 maps Utopia, Fate, Odysseus, and Standoff. This is also where you can find standard Mosh Pit, where skill is an important consideration. So obviously, skill-based matchmaking playlist is the standard Mosh Pit. We continue to see increased engagement with standard Mosh Pit, so we'll be featuring it in the featured tab for players who prefer an experience with more similarly skilled opponents. With the main tab changing to featured, the other tab will now become party games, which will include Prop Hunt, Sharpshooter, One in the Chamber, and Gunfight at the launch of Season 1, as well as the debut of Sticks and Stones and Gun Game in Week 2. In addition to standard Mosh Pit, all multiplayer playlists feature open matchmaking, where skill is minimally considered for a more varied experience. So, I saw a screenshot of this, and what they did, was they kind of just rearranged stuff, but they're saying the numbers on standard Mosh Pit have started to go up in the skill-based matchmaking playlist. And I've seen a lot of people online talking about this is the beginning right here. This is the start of, we are about to start ever so slightly moving back into only skill-based matchmaking playlists for COD. Me personally, I have always been under the opinion that skill-based was always going to come back. That this was kind of just a trial run just to see what happens, and I've always been under the opinion that the open matchmaking stuff was never going to stay. And it kind of just seemed like they're moving a little bit more towards that now. Maybe some people are just reading into it too much, and they're just kind of overthinking it. But off of that, Will, do you think along the same lines? Do you think maybe, for one, I personally think the increased engagement with standard Mosh Pit is horseshit, in my personal opinion. I don't think it's true. If it is increased engagement, I don't think it's as much as they're making it out to be. At least, especially enough to put it front and center above the open matchmaking playlists. But what is your stance on the whole open versus standard, and if we're eventually just going to start fading back into what skill-based was before this?
I don't know. I don't know if I ever thought it would go away. The one thing I do think from playing the game during beta to now, they definitely tweaked the open, like how much skill base matters in
Yeah.
the open mosh pit in between now and the beta back then. It is like significantly sweatier now in the full release than it was in the beta, but I do still notice a difference. So I can't sit here and say like it's a lie. It's not a lie. There is a difference. Like you can tell the difference, but it's definitely not as intense as they were making it to sound when the game was first like in the process of releasing, and especially when we played it during the beta. Um, I think ultimately they're gonna do everything that they can to keep as many players as possible, especially since we're currently in a time to where we're kind of lacking the normal amount of players that they've gotten used to seeing. Um, like peak is down since release. Peak player count, I should say, is down since release, and ultimately they're gonna try as much as they can, um, to keep players. And what a lot of people have to understand is there are significantly more middle ground to average players and bad players than there are good players, like significantly more.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to sound like a dick when I say that. That's just like that is like long proven truth to Call of Duty. That's the whole reason we had intense skill based matchmaking for as long as we did. Um so I think if they, with the player count being low, I'm not shocked to see them trying to like make as many moves as possible to keep their core player base like as engaged as possible. And the easiest way to do that is to ensure they aren't getting ran through multiple times a day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It goes back to when the cranked up skill based matchmaking first came into existence with like Infinity Ward back in Modern Warfare 19, and they're talking about like making sure games are like safe spaces for lower skilled players and stuff like that. I guarantee they noticed a little bit of a drop off from some players who tended to spend time in the open mosh pit, you know. But do I think it's gonna completely go away? I would rather not like freak out and assume that right now. I think for now, let's just see what they say. Because what I remember when they first told us they'd be like cutting back on skill based matchmaking, everybody was like, "Yeah, right. I'll believe
Yeah.
it when I see it." And then they did it. You know what I'm saying? So like, at a certain point, we do got it. Especially when do I think Treyarch is at the same company it was back when like Vondahar was running it and stuff like that? No, it's nowhere near. But Treyarch has sort of been a little bit more transparent with everyone, especially in this newer, like post Modern Warfare 19 era. So when it comes to Treyarch, I'll give them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. I'm not going to immediately doom and think, oh, we're just going to go back to strict skill based matchmaking. But I'm not shocked to see that they are making these type of changes.
Yeah, and you just hope by the end of all the testing and by the end of all the talking about it that you just get a nice blend of both. You just get a choice, and I think
Yeah.
for me personally, is being, the streamer and the more grindier person of the two of us, it's been way more enjoyable to play the open matchmaking. I've definitely still have my games where the people on the other team are super sweaty and I might not have a good game, but you know heck, I've actually wanted to actually sit down and create YouTube content on Black Ops 7 because the game isn't as insane as the last couple CODs have been. So hopefully at the end of all of it, we just find that nice medium ground where we can make everybody happy. Who knows if that's ever going to happen? You're not going to make everybody happy, but I just feel like just give us the choice. Like, just let us choose. If the other people want to play standard, play standard. If people want to play open, play open. Just give us the choice at the end of the day. But we'll see, how that updates as we continue. But speaking of continuing, Will, it's time to get in to what we have been waiting for all offseason. And that is the CDL. Because we start this weekend, Will. It is time. As of people watching this, it is the day matches start. So it's time to get in to the teams, time to get into the schedule we have coming into this weekend, and time to get into predictions. Because this is where it matters, ladies and gentlemen. Will has won the past 2 years in the CDL Pick'ems. I have had some faded picks the past 2 years. No more faded picks. We're going hard in the paint this year. And Will, we're started off with the back-to-back champions, Optic Texas, taking on the Riyadh Falcons, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time today. I feel like this probably isn't going to be a very hard pick for either of us. Optic preseason have looked fantastic in all the tournaments we've seen. We've seen Riyadh one time, and they got bounced by a challengers team in the losers bracket of the Monster Invitational. I feel like this is probably a pretty easy one here. I have Optic Texas 3-0.
Yeah, I also have Optic 3-0 for the exact same reasons that you said.
And I remember, was it first episode where I was like, you could see, it might have been the episode that got chalked, that got corrupted, where I was like, a sleeper team could be Falcons. Boy, was I wrong. After seeing that team, I don't think this team's going to be good. Again, like I said, I think. Go ahead.
That team is 4 individual, like 3 individual, like superstars, quote unquote, and Xnid.
Yeah.
I don't mean to like dog on Xnid by saying that, but he's just too, green still. He's, and even then you got to question, like, are they all still superstars? Like, so that team just, I don't know about that team. I don't expect much.
Well, we move into match number 2 on the day. The Carolina Royal Ravens taking on the Boston Breach. Battle of the unknowns, especially for us. We don't really know. We saw a little bit from Carolina. We know Boston had a stinky of an invitational. Some question marks here. This is the good thing about week 1 is you're going to get a lot of questions answered when it comes to all of these teams. For me personally, man, I kind of just like the thought of Carolina better. I feel like that team's going to be a little bit more well-rounded. Slasher's obviously a long-time vet. You got Lurks, who has looked really good. Lurks is on this team, right? Or am I absolutely insane right now? He's on this team, right?
Is it? I don't think so.
What is
Doesn't
Lurks?
sound right.
Who's Lurks on? Is he on Vancouver?
So is he not on Surge?
No, Lurks is on Ravens.
Who's on Surge?
Legend. That team's gonna be poopy, so it don't matter. Anyway, Lurks looked really good in the Invitational. I thought he played really well. I kind of like Carolina more. I got Ravens 3-1.
Yeah. Excuse me. I also have Ravens 3-1. I think during the major, both teams looked like they had a lot to work on, but I think Boston looked like they had more than Ravens
Yeah.
as it stood. So, I'm gonna go with Ravens as well.
And then our final match of the day, the Los Angeles Thieves taking on the Vegas FaZe. I am happy to report that as of right now, as it stands, my prediction on both of these teams was correct. We were both correct on FaZe. FaZe have not looked good. They have looked top 6, top 8 at best. They have struggled so far. It's a good thing none of the matches they've played go towards any of their CDL records, but this one does. I think Thieves are the third best team in the game, behind Mate and behind Optic. I just feel like FaZe has so much to work on that getting Thieves this early in the season is just a CDL's giving them a big fuck you. Yeah. I got Thieves 3-1 over FaZe. I could see it being 3-0. I just think FaZe might be a little bit better of an S&D team than Thieves. But I just think the respawns are going to be a little bit more towards Thieves.
Yeah, I've also got Thieves 3-1. I think the only real strong frame of reference we have are the Kason tournament that happened last weekend, and then that Monster Invitational. And as time went on, I think Thieves have looked like they've definitely kind of fallen into rhythm a little bit, and that's why I agree. I think they're probably third or fourth best right now. The only reason I say that is because say third or fourth is because we have yet to see like Cloud9 or Rocker since that Invitational, and both of them look like they could be teams that could fall, jump up into that third or fourth spot. So it just kind of depends on what we see this weekend from them. But I agree. I think Thieves currently look better. Maybe some S&D woes, but they look like they'll probably be a solid respawn team.
Well, let's move into Saturday. December 6th, first match of the day. We got the Toronto Koi taking on the Miami Heretics. A little bit of a personal match for Riaz. He left Miami to go to Toronto. Miami picks up a brand new player. I can't remember his name. I think it's Trakes. I think he is now in the U.S. I think he is ready for matches now. Me personally, this is a big toss-up series for me. I'm gonna go Toronto. I'm gonna go Koi in this series. I think I'm gonna go 3-2 though. I think it goes 5. Like I said, this is a big 50-50 series for me. I kind of just like the idea of Joe Deceives and Real in a game 5. So I'm gonna go Koi 3-2.
I actually took Heretics 3-2. Mainly because we didn't get to see Heretics play with their full roster. They played with Eric Boom during that Monster Invitational. And so part of me thinks maybe having Trakes on the roster, finally, they might come out with some fire. So yeah, but I do think it'll go the distance. I think this is a bigger question mark for me than Ravens and Boston. So yeah, I think it's going to be a game 5 as well, but I'm going to lean Heretics.
All right. Match number 2, we got the Vancouver Surge taking on the Gentlemates of Paris. Vancouver legend making his CDL Call of Duty debut from Halo. Paris have looked so good, man. That's a very well-rounded team. They look on the same level as Optic right now in terms of just readiness for this game. That is a team that I did not think was going to mesh as quickly as they've meshed. They looked really, really good. I got Paris 3-0.
Yeah, I've also got Paris 3-0. I like this team as I'm watching more.
And that branding is fire.
Yeah,
fire.
Yeah, Gotaga knows what he's doing over there. My favorite part about this team is it's kind of like an underdog team. These are really the scraps. Neptune looked phenomenal last year. Nobody wanted to pick him up. Ghosty got dropped for Kenny. Envoy has sort of like always, as years have gone on. I know you personally, even me, we've had like our negative comments on Envoy.
Yeah.
He's had moments where he just hasn't looked great, but he always seems like one of the first to go in a team. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And Sib, I think Sib is honestly in that upper echelon of player, like, but yet you don't really hear his name come up. But I
Mhm.
do think he really does kind of exist in that same league as like your scraps, your dashies, your draw, like just really good AR player.
Yeah.
But for some reason his name isn't coming up as much. He was kind of attached to Pred for a while as Pred's duo, and then they went separate ways. Pred won champs. Sib got second at champs to Pred. So like I think this is like a little bit of an underdog team. You know what I'm saying, that we've seen form of like people who deserved started like a ton of offers on big rosters and just didn't get them for some reason.
Yeah.
And I think they probably got some fire under their asses because of that.
Yeah, and they look the most prepared out of anyone, probably maybe
Yeah.
even a little bit more than Optic right now.
I think this is the season where we kind of saw it start a little bit in no Modern Warfare 3 when Ghosty sort of had to lead that pack, that LA Thieves team. From what I've seen so far, I think Ghosty might kind of be reaching his final form.
Yeah.
Um,
He looks damn good. He
yeah,
looks very good.
he's better than he's looked in a long time. That says a lot because I don't think Ghosty's been bad.
Yeah. You hope they can keep that form that they have, because if they
Yeah.
can, it's gonna be fun to watch them all year long. And then our final match of the day, the two teams you were talking about earlier, G2 Minnesota taking on Cloud9 New York. Another tough one, man, because this is both teams that looked solid in the Monster Invitational. We haven't seen them since.
I think this is the best match of the weekend for me. Like this is the most like shit.
Yeah,
this
could be this could be a super back and forth, like 250, 240 hard points type thing. It's an interesting pick, man. It's tough because again we just don't know a whole lot about these teams. But I think I'm gonna go Cloud9 New York in this series. I think I'm gonna go 3-2 over G2. I like the G2 team. They looked good in the Monster Invitational. I just think I like the way Cloud9 kind of held up a little bit more. A big question mark for me is Skies. Can he keep that play he had in the Monster Invitational, because he was playing really well. But I think I'm going to give the edge a little bit to Cloud9.
This is the second matchup so far where we differ. I'm going G2, but I am still game 5. But I just G2, they beat Cloud9 in the Invitational, and they were able to push mates to a game 5. So I think as we've seen it so far, G2 has a little bit more strength. But that Cloud9 team had a lot, like, it looked like they were fundamentally meshing well as a team. And that really is like the biggest key to success.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? In Call of Duty, we've seen it time and time again. Teams who don't necessarily have strong slaying capability on paper are able to just come in and win because they mesh so well as a team and they know how to play together.
Yeah.
So, I'm not fully like in belief that G2 are significantly better. That's why I'm going game 5. But just as it stands, I think G2 have a little bit more firepower, especially like you said, if Skies keeps playing as well as he has, this will be a fun series to watch.
Yeah, for sure. And we move into our final day this weekend, Sunday, December 7th, kicking off with the Riyadh Falcons taking on the Thieves. Again, man, I think just Riyadh just have so much to work on. And just an early season matchup against the Thieves team that's definitely top 4 out of all CDL teams. You're just gonna be fighting uphill, man. I got Thieves 3-0.
I also have Thieves 3-0, and for the same exact reasons. I think you're not there yet.
Yeah.
If you're Riyadh.
Second match of the day, Paris taking on the Vegas FaZe. Man, FaZe, they just get handed 2 of the top 3 teams in the game to start the year. I just, I want to have a little bit more hope in FaZe, but Paris just looked too good. Two sound, and I think FaZe are similar. They have stuff to work on, man. They got to work out some kinks with the new roster. I'm honestly not even gonna give FaZe a map. I got Paris 3-0.
I've got Paris 3-1. I still think FaZe can probably put something together. I think that, like I said, like we've already said it, Paris just looks too good.
Yeah. And then the final match of the weekend, Optic Texas taking on G2 Minnesota. Again, Optic, a top 2 team in the game right now. They've shown it. They've proven it. G2 has a lot of fight in them. I like this G2 team. I would love to see this G2 team make matches interesting, just not this one. But I love the G2 team as a whole. But I got to stick with my guns. I have Optic 3-0. I just think they're overall way more sound in every game mode than G2. There's going to be a lot of Optic being more sound until they show us, or until other teams show that they're not as far behind as people may think they are. But I've got Optic 3-0.
I agree. I just think someone from Optic has won everything since August. So it's kind of hard to vote against them right now. We didn't see him fall until the Kason tourney last weekend.
Yeah.
Which we didn't talk about. I'll sum that up real quick. Kason every year does an invitational to start the year off. It's the quote unquote top 4 teams. I think in reality it's just which of the big name rosters are going to say yes to him. This year it was Optic, Thieves, FaZe, and Gentlemates. FaZe were bounced out first. Thieves got third. Optic got second, and Mates end up winning the tournament. It was a great final. The tournament went on until like 2 a.m. I was finally sold on Overload because of this tournament. You've probably seen the clip. It's when Mercules is making that like insane attempt in overtime. He's in a 1v2. He's got the EMP. He's trying his best to run the full length to cap it, and he dies like that far from it.
Yeah.
Like so close that the momentum of his body,
flew into the point.
Ragdolls into So it was an intense series that I'm really, really excited to see Optic and Mate play as many times as possible this year, as long as they stay looking as good as they have been. But yeah, shout out Kason. I feel like he does a lot for the scene now, and he really doesn't have to. But he sort of has like that Optic Hex mentality of like someone's got to do something. It seems like, you know what I'm saying. So I've kind of become a bigger Kason fan as he's done more and more he's put a ton of his own time, effort, and money into our league. So
we want to watch Mates and Optic as much as possible, just not at 2 a.m. How about that?
Yeah, no, let's not do that.
Let's not.
That's not his fault. That's just
that's
the
just,
game being broken.
Unfortunately, there's not much Kason can do about that. Kason, like he said, he's kind of the he's kind of like the guinea pig for the CDL to know what the CDL needs to work on before the matches actually get going. But those are sad
because he does so much, but they won't give him like official support. Like that monster tournament, that was ran by the CDL, so they got to use CDL servers. That's why it had no issues. Kason's tournaments, though, he can't use the private servers that they use for like, which is funny because they get to use that shit for scrimming. You know what I'm saying? They'll let them scrim on it, but they won't let Kason throw a little quick 4-man tournament. I don't know. It's interesting.
It is strange. But let us know your predictions down below. Keep up with us, man. Keep up with your predictions. Let us know how you do every week. I didn't even mention this at the start. Shout out to all of you who watched episode 1 last week, man. The support on that episode was huge, especially on a brand new channel, brand new name. We are grateful for that. And we hope you stick around and you follow us through the rest of this year as we talk Call of Duty, the CDL, Call of Duty in general, all that good stuff. But yeah, do your predictions with us. Follow along with us. Let us know how you do every week. Like I said, you're going to see the standings of the CDL and our standings between both of us on who's doing the best in picks every single episode. It's always going to be right above Will's webcam over there, so you'll always be able to see it. But Will, any closing thoughts, man? It's good to have the season back. It's good to have the CDL back. I'm excited for Black Ops 7 competitive because this feels like the first time in a while we have a competitive game that's actually got some juice to it, and it's actually going to be really, really fun to watch. So any closing thoughts as we close this episode down?
I just can't wait to to get to watching. There's nothing better than like the weekend comes around. You got some guaranteed COD to watch every weekend.
For sure.
Wish we didn't have to go into a break. Just so everyone knows, I'll warn you this episode, and I'll warn you in the next episode. Um, we do go on break for the CDL after next week. So anyone that is super into the CDL and wants to and you're here for that specifically, just so you know, uh, after the 14th matches, which is next Sunday as you're watching this, Christmas break and New Year's break for the CDL. We will not be back until the 9th of January. So
Yeah.
that doesn't mean we go anywhere.
Yeah.
It's just the CDL. The CDL is taking its holiday break.
Yeah, we're definitely still going to upload episodes, definitely going to still talk Call of Duty. That'll actually give us good time to, like, look over the matches that we've seen, look over the teams, and kind of just analyze, what we've seen from everyone and just talk about, what we expect going forward into the new year. But yeah, what he said. Anyway, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us yet again. Again, a little bit of a shorter episode just because Will's under the weather. We want to get that man healed up as quickly as possible so that next week we can really dive into the recaps of the matches, show the stats, talk about how the maps went, and just kind of dive into each individual team as to how their matches went. Anyway, again, if you enjoyed, hit that like button. It pushes the show out in the YouTube algorithm and helps more people get their eyes on the show. And if you want to see every episode every Friday, hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell. We thank you guys very much for being here yet again. Will, send us out of here.
Goodbye.